All right. Hello, everybody. And this is the Happy Coach on the Happy Money series on Saturdays, every alternate Saturday. Today, I have a very special guest with me. His name is Clarence Fu. Whoa.
Hello,
And it's,
everyone.
yeah, he's a realtor and he's appeared on the media, quite a few media, and then some of you may be familiar with him. And today we'll just jump straight into the topic. We'll be talking about how to make your money chong sua for you in real estate. Yeah, but before we jump into the topic, Clarence, maybe you can introduce yourself a little about what you do and why you do what you do.
Yes, okay, Yuanta, thanks a lot for getting me on your show. And as everyone can tell, I'm actually doing it outside right now, which is part and parcel of my work on a Saturday, right? So
Wait,
I'm
where are
actually
you
in
now? Clarence? Where are you now? Maybe
I'm
you can
in
just
a condo in Tanjong Pagar area. So
what's the name
I
of the
man, it's called
condo?
the
Maybe
Aries.
people can go and find you.
It's called the Aries, right? So it's a very
Aries,
nice
okay. If you want
yeah,
to find him,
hidden
he's at
place.
the
I'm at the Aries, but don't get me into trouble. Yeah, but I'm actually at the outdoor area now at the facility area. So very nice backdrop behind me. Everyone can see green wall. So yes, I've been in real estate for 7 years now. I actually switched over from consulting. I was in consulting for about 13 years, and I came into this. So I really
Mm,
love what I do now, and my passion for real estate really because I feel that real estate is essentially a financial thing as well. So it's not just buying a house; it's also a financial decision, which I know that Yuan Tai is very big on that. And I always tell people that once you make a right choice, in terms of real estate, you are also making a right choice in your finances. So that's always
mm.
been one of my guidelines. Just want to make sure that my clients do the right thing, and also with the right decision, then they will eventually see their lives getting better too.
Great. All right. Okay. So just pause a little, Clarence. For those of you who have just joined us on this Happy Money series, once every alternate Saturday, just drop a yes or drop a like and say hello. And my question to you is, how do you make your money chong sua for you in real estate? Okay, for those who don't understand what chong sua means, basically means how do you make your money work for you in real estate. So that is our topic for the day. And without further ado, let us just dive straight into the first subtopic of the day. Okay. So Clarence, new condo versus resale, which is better? And as we all know,
Uh,
there have been a few launches in recent months, and even during the COVID, I think some developers have actually held back or delayed or postponed their launches. So, what is your take? New condo versus resale, which is better?
okay, this is the $1 million question, age-old question as well. A lot of people have been asking that. Okay, let me just give you a very brief update. The
Yeah.
current batches of new launch is very interesting. Not every batch of new launch is the same. So the current batch of new launches are doing quite well, mainly for one reason I feel is that they are all located in mature estates and they are very
Policy work,
near.
hi Yun Tai,
Oh,
Clarence,
policy
hi
work is
policy work.
here. Hello, you
Ethan,
guys will be
Jimmy, right?
forgive. Yeah,
Right,
so
sorry.
the current
Just
batch
carry on.
of new launches that are located in mature estates and they're located very near to transport hubs like MRT. So there's really convenience that you can't really get compared to maybe a resale. So which is one of the reasons why I feel the current batch of new launches are doing quite well. Not every batch is like that. And the reason why we have all these good locations now is because this current batch of new launches, a lot of them were from the old en bloc sites. So if some of us remember about 2, 3 years ago, you probably see this word every week on the newspaper, en bloc, en bloc, en bloc.
Mm.
So right now, a lot of the new condos that are being launched are in fact the old en bloc sites that the developer have bought. So I feel this is one of the reasons why the new launches now are doing much better. But if you want to compare to resale, it really is a very general and very broad comparison. I feel it's always important to have an apple to apple comparison because if
Yeah.
not, then it's very easy for you as a buyer, as a homeowner, to actually be led down a rabbit trail and then eventually
Mm.
find yourself buying something that you may not need. So the question is not so much new condo versus resale, which is better. But I always say that which house actually suits your lifestyle better, which location will give you a better return. That's actually the more important question rather than a new condo versus resale kind of comparison.
Yep. Okay. Very good
Yeah.
point. So maybe just to dial back a bit. So let's say if somebody is looking to buy a second property or looking to upgrade, what are some of the usual factors that they will need to consider, and what are some of the possible blind spots that they may have?
Good one. So, in fact, I did a video recently. I call it the PSLE. A lot of people were very
I saw
tickled by that.
that.
PSLE. So, very simple, four things you can remember. P stands for price, S stands for size, L stands for location, and E stands for exit. And exit, by that, I basically mean that is this condo sellable in future? Is there a potential buyer that will come? And Singapore not being big though, surprisingly, there are actually quite a lot of areas and not a lot of condos that are not easy to sell later on.
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you're looking for a place, I think gone are the days now where we would stay in a place for 20, 30 years, you know, like our
Yes.
parents'
Yes.
generation, right?
Yes.
So, and a lot of times we may move for a lot of reasons. We may move for the kids' schooling. We may move because we want to upgrade, like what you have mentioned, Yuan Tai. Then at that
Yes.
point of time when you do want to move, it's important to actually start thinking now, is this place that you're going to buy sellable? Right there, because there are places I've seen a lot of times in my work, a condo can be in the market for 1 year, 1.5 years, and still no takers. And that is a very difficult predicament to be in. So if you are thinking of upgrading, you're thinking to buy a place, whether a new condo or resale, if you can follow this PSLE metrics, it will help you a lot. And location, again, I always place a very strong emphasis on it. It's important to be near amenities, and it's important to be near a station if you can. And
Yes.
one of my clients actually has this joke. He always tells me, he said, Clarence, yeah, if you're near a station, it's important, but if you're near some Lim Chu Kang station, there's no Lim Chu Kang station, for example, okay? But his point was that if you're near a station that is so far out, all right, it doesn't do you any good as well. So, so it's not just about being near a station, but it has to be somewhere that is convenient for generally most people. So, so if you're looking for a place, these are the few things to consider. When I talk about size, this is something that's quite important. Singapore condos are getting smaller and smaller. So space is a premium, plus work from home now. Everyone probably needs their own private space, maybe a room that you can do some work. So in this case, it's good to get a space that is as big as you can find, right? Within the means of affordability. Don't buy something that you can't afford, but try to get something that is bigger, because going forward, condos are not going to get bigger. So if you do have something that is larger than the general market, then again, you are in a better position than most people.
Okay. Yeah, that is a very good point. But let me just dial back a bit on the location part. So location to different people, they have different kind of needs. So usually, what are some of the main considerations or some of the blind spot when it comes to talking about location wise?
Okay, that's a good question. I give you an example of a real place in East Coast. It's one of my favorite places. I grew up there as well. So I hope I don't sabo anyone here in case if you are staying in the place that I'm going to mention. Okay, but these are very real life cases that I come across from my friends, ex-colleagues. So East Coast is a very compact estate. But in East Coast, there are also blind spots like what Yuan Tai mentioned earlier on. There are some places in Telok Kurau, for example, which is not too convenient, and then it's a bit hard to get to either Kembangan station, which is the nearest station, or to get back to other places. So, so while you are in East Coast, you are having a District 15 postal code. But for example, Telok Kurau, in a way, is not that convenient a location. So unless you are going to be getting a landed house there, then I assume you drive, then that will not be an issue. But for a lot of the condos there, then accessibility is fairly difficult. So if you want to go back to either, like I say, Upper Changi Road, which is where Kembangan is, or you want to get to East Coast Road, both directions will take you a 15 minutes walk. 15 minutes walk. So, so in terms of location, yes, you are in East Coast, as I emphasize, you are in District 15, it's a freehold site, but then in terms of real practical accessibility, it's not that great. So this is one of the blind spots, for example, and I'm using this as an example because I have ex-colleagues who bought at Telok Kurau. So they bought a condo at Telok Kurau, and then after that they realized, oh man, it's actually not as easy as they thought for them to get to work, because they have to walk a long distance just to get to a bus stop.
Okay, that's a very good point. Yeah. So I hope those of you who are coming online to the show, please get ready your pen and paper and just jot down some notes. These are really gold nuggets of wisdom that Clarence is dishing out. I just sidetrack a little. I think we have not put this discussion point. How about this point about should I go for a mature estate or non-mature estate, and what are the considerations when I'm trying to weigh between the two?
Mature estates and non-mature, I think more importantly will be I always see whether is there going to be new amenities that are going to be coming up. So again, one classic example for those who are living in the northeast or the east of Singapore, you will be fairly familiar with Punggol, right? Why I want to use Punggol as an example, because Punggol has a lot of developments that will come in, and these are all developments announced by the government. So there will be SIT is moving there, a huge school campus. And then not too long ago, of course, they had a SAFRA as well. And then there's also Coney Island. So the government is continuously adding new stuff, whether lifestyle facilities, there's going to be a huge preschool there. So these are all things that are coming to a new estate. So in this case, while it may not be considered a mature estate like Ang Mo Kio, Queenstown, Tampines, but there are a lot of new things that will be added over the years. So in this case, then I feel if you are looking for something, then yeah, Punggol can make can be a choice, because with more amenities coming in, that is usually how the value of the property will go up. But if you go to a mature estate, then usually the prices of the property will already be flatline or stagnant for many years, simply because there are no things coming in. So that is not because the estate is lousy. If you ask anyone, would they go Ang Mo Kio, Tampines, Bedok, all these mature places, everyone will say, yeah, sure, why not? Everything is there. But if you're expecting your property to increase in price in this mature estate, then that's quite unlikely.
Very good point. Very good point. So how about the up and coming, like the places like Tengah and all that? What's your take on it?
Okay, Tengah is already announced for a lot of development, partly because the airbase is going to be relocated as well. But Tengah, it will take at least about 15 years to see all the plans come to fruition. So I mentioned just now that I grew up in East Coast, but I also spent part of my growing up years in Tampines. Right, so my parents actually moved us from East Coast to Tampines, and Tampines back then was a classic example. Right, it was a wasteland. There was nothing there, no mall, no MRT, really nothing. Okay, they don't even have a bus interchange. I still remember. I was in primary school. The buses all park parallel parking. Okay, at the roadside, so there's no bus interchange.
Nightmare.
Okay? Yeah, I mean that was Tampines last time, okay, and of course now Tampines is a mature place. So Tengah will basically go through the same growing phase like what Tampines did almost 25 years ago. So, but then you as a homeowner, then you have to ask yourself, are you going to be staying there for 25 years and see all these changes? So that's the question. So for those who are in the West, then maybe Tengah is a very new place, very planned area. You will get a lot of things that you don't get perhaps in Jurong East or Lakeside. So, but if you are asking me personally, I don't think I want to spend the next 10 years to see all these changes. I would prefer at least to have some amenities already there, because these are day-to-day things that I need.
Kind of reminds me of Punggol like 15, 20 years ago, right?
Yes, it was exactly the same. Nothing there at all. So everyone has to go through that phase of life. So it's a matter of whether do you want to go through that phase.
Okay. I got a question here. So Jimmy is asking thoughts on the M Condo.
Okay. The M Condo is very convenient, and it's right opposite Bugis Junction. And for those who missed out on the M earlier this year, they were actually launched in February. Unfortunately, I would say you have missed out a good chance. Why? Because when they launch it, they really launch it at a very attractive price for a city condo. The condo it's still, I feel amongst the Bugis area, it will still do very well. There are
Yeah.
2 more new condos coming up, both part of the Midtown development. And already the price now is close to 2008 to 3000 plus PSF. That's very high. But then
Yep.
again, for a town condo, that is the normal price. So for the M, in case if you do miss it, when they launch it, they actually launch it at about 2002.
It's a very
2002,
good
so it
price.
was very good. Yeah.
Very
So
good.
location-wise, it's superb. Opposite Bugis Junction, amenities are all there, and it's very near a row of the conserved shop house. So at least the buildings next door, they are not equally high in height. So you get at least an open view somewhat.
Frontage,
So the M is, yeah, in view, the M is still a very good condo. There are still units available. It's just that now if you are going in, the prices will be much higher than at launch. I still remember the queue outside the show flat on ballot day because the video went viral. There were a lot of people who passed by and they joined the queue because everyone thought that was the queue for buying masks, because that was in February. So everyone thought that the queue was for buying this. And because the queue was so far out from the show flat that you couldn't see where the queue was going to. Then after that, people realized, oh, this is actually for a condo booking. It's not for buying masks. So that was how popular the M was.
Okay. Yeah, so if you already miss that boat lah, no worries. There are still, I'm sure there are upcoming projects that are also priced attractively. I think one thing that you mentioned just now, we didn't really talk about it, is the entry price of the developer. So the entry price by a developer, how much they bid for the land itself, land parcel itself, also a very important factor. What's your take on that?
Yes, so the good thing about Singapore is that all the prices are very transparent. How much the developer paid for the land is all on the papers, is reported. So as a buyer, in fact, you could more or less do a calculation. It's not that difficult. Land price plus construction price plus financing costs and plus marketing costs. So these are the big four of what a project will cost. Land cost is really fixed. Construction price typically nowadays, because it has gone up, NUS real estate department has actually released a very good paper on this. You can Google it online. They say that due to COVID, construction cost has gone up. So on average now, construction cost is about $600 per square foot. Okay, $600 per square foot. You add that to the land price, you already know what is the cost involved. Financing and marketing costs, typically this is about $150 each. So you add up already, you will know what is the cost of the development. And then when the developer does release the actual pricing of the condo, then you will know whether is it really attractively priced. For example, the M, the developer came out and said as well, if it's not for COVID, they will have actually launched it at about 2003 to 2004. Right, but they realized the situation is not favorable, and also they want to quickly get the project out into the market. They launched it at 2001 and 2002, and that was why it drew a lot of people. When they did the calculation, they realized, wow, 2002 for a central location, the developer's margin is actually very thin. Yeah, and so they sold a lot, about 200 units, if I remember correctly, on launch day.
Those 200 units probably just break even only lah. Then the margins will come after that lah.
Yeah, it's just slightly above break-even cost. You're right.
Yeah. So that's also a very important point that a lot of people we don't really take note lah. So actually, I want to now just move a little bit on the consumer side. So I think the MAS is also a bit concerned that our borrowing rates, the amount of debt that we are servicing is increasing. So what's your take in that? Is there a concern for that? Is there a potential for the market to be overheated, or there's no concern at all?
Okay, that's a good question, Yuan Tai. There's one thing called TDSR, Total Debt Servicing Ratio, which is very important for us. And in fact, that's the thing that gave us stability in the market. This was introduced back in 2013. And effectively, TDSR, it stands for Total Debt Servicing Ratio. It means that for you and I, we can't exceed 60% of our monthly income to be used for debt. It can be car loans, it can be renovation loans, it can be anything. So of course, mortgage takes up the biggest portion. If you add everything together, it cannot exceed 60%. And effectively, what MAS wants to do is to make sure that no one is over leveraged. No one is over leveraged. And because of that, our market has been very stable. And this time round, I think you won't know how stable a market is when you subject it to external shocks, right? It's just that you don't know how strong the car is, and and Volvo does this testing all the time, right? They purposely ram their cars just to show how safe it is, right? I mean, that's the typical
But we cannot do that lah. We ran, we
Volvo
die.
advertisement, right? Yeah, Volvo advertisement. They show you, we show you how solid our cars are. So, but this time around, because of COVID, I think the whole market has remained very stable, and that is precisely what MAS wants it to be. And they have already factored in all these safety measures, so that when something like that comes in, you realize that our Singapore real estate market doesn't go through upheavals like Australia.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can check Australia, you can check even London, UK. A lot of movements because they're stable.
Up and
Their
down.
markets, yeah, very unstable. And in Singapore, because it's quite impossible to be over leveraged.
Yes.
Just to
Yes.
give
Actually, I
some
agree with you.
of you an example, last time before TDSR and before all the cooling measures, one person can have 6 to 7 housing loans.
Mm.
Yeah, and because people are flipping properties. So can you imagine one person has 6 to 7 mortgages, and the
It's
down
highly
payment that you
risky. Actually, it's highly risky.
highly leveraged, yeah, and you just need to put a 10% down payment, so you borrow up to 90%. And of course, when the global financial crisis came, a lot of people were in trouble because suddenly they realized that
Tons of it.
how am I supposed to pay 7 to 8 mortgages. So TDSR has eliminated all of that, which is why now our market is stable, and the chance of a fire sale is really quite unlikely though.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point. Okay, so for those people who have just joined us, we are in the midst of the discussion, and we are discussing about how to make your money Cheong Sua for you in real estate. Those who don't understand, Cheong Sua means work for you, make your money work for you in real estate. Okay, so we just want to transit a little into our next subtopic. Will be how then can my home be my investment too? So what are the factors to consider, and how do I make my home an investment? And is it a competing kind of priorities, making a home as a place to stay as compared to an investment? Is that what's your take on that?
Okay. Unfortunately, we can't do a poll. I don't know whether we can do a poll, but very interesting.
I think you can just drop comments lah. You can ask them.
Yeah.
So what do you
because
want to ask the audience?
just this week, I did a webinar on mortgage. So I was invited to speak in a mortgage webinar. This was one of the poll questions, right? So I still remember the results very clearly. Very interestingly, more than 40% of the respondents said that no, my home is not an investment. 40%. So there were basically only 3 options. You can answer yes, it is. No, it is not. The third one is I'm not sure. I hope it can be. Right? Majority of the respondents responded no, my home is not an investment. And I think this has got to do with this thinking that you have to be a landlord, you have to own second, third, fourth property to be considered this as investment properties. Right? But I've always asked people this one question, and a very simple analogy, right? It's just that, for example, me going to ABC Bank in Singapore, I say I would like to deposit 50,000 with you guys today. They say, hey, sure, Clarence, welcome on board. We have a fantastic package now. Okay, you deposit 50K with us. In 5 years' time, we will return you 40K. How about that? Sounds good, right?
Sounds good.
Sounds good, right? Okay, how many of you will take this package? Deposit 50K now. 5 years later, the bank will return you 40K. Okay, I cannot see hands or anything. Okay, I believe you will respond like me. You'll say, "Xiao, what kind of package is this?" Are y'all robbing
Sounds
us
like
or
a
what?
scam.
Yeah, I said, well, how can we 50K and then 5 years later you return me 40K? Okay, logically, no one of us will ever open an account with a bank like that. But unfortunately, when it comes to our own home, a lot of people do think like that. And they feel that, hey, Clarence, I'm buying for my own stay. I'm not a investor. I'm not a landlord. If my choice of property now loses 100K in about 10 years time, I'm fine with it, because anyway, this is for my own stay. I'm not here to speculate in the market. And you'll be surprised how many times I've heard this from Singaporeans who think like that. They feel that as long as because this is a place for my own stay, then it's fine to lose money on it. This mentality, I reckon where it came from. It actually came from COE. It came from COE because we are so all used to in Singapore. If you the day
Yeah,
one that you buy a car, it's a losing deal.
yeah, it's a losing deal.
Yeah,
The
it's a losing
moment you
deal, right?
drive the car
And
out of the showroom,
yeah,
you
out
already
the show
lost
is you already
30%.
lose money, right? You see coins falling all over the floor already. So
Yes.
but the thing is, property is not like buying a car in Singapore. And that is
Mm.
where I realized a lot of people have used that mentality into buying a car, sorry, buying a home, and then feel that, hey,
Mm.
if it's for own stay, then I will lose money on this, which is a wrong proposition. You can actually gain some profit in your house while you are staying there, so that eventually when you do need to sell, like I say, then yeah, you can actually make some money out of it.
That's very valid. Yeah,
Yeah.
in this tone, right? I think used to be there are some HDB resale that are selling for quite a lot over COV. So I think gone are those days, gone are those days. But then we still see right some of the like Duxton, Dawson, those areas going for crazy prices. So what's your take on that?
Okay, the ones that are making some profit now for HDBs primarily are the BTOs.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes,
the BTO.
yes,
So because they are subsidized in the first place, when you purchase a BTO, the government
yeah,
has really paid quite a bit. So
yeah,
and that's where the gap comes from, the leverage comes from. So when you
yes.
sell, that's where you make money. So but if you're talking about resale HDB, it's quite unlikely for you to have a solid profit from that case, because most of
Mm.
it would have been earned or taken by the first owner who sold the house to you.
Yes,
So as
yes.
a second owner as of a HDB flat, you will
Unlikely.
not probably, yeah, it's unlikely to see much. Probably prices will just hold stable.
So how about those
Mm.
who are buying from the first owners, and then some of them are like paying like pretty crazy prices for BTOs.
Yes, COV now is already getting lesser and lesser because it's something
Mm.
that HDB discourages. But I think
Yeah,
just about a week ago, you probably will see this report. There are 13 $1 million flats that has been transacted so far this
yeah,
year. And
yes,
not to mention, there's also a lot of 900,000 that are not reported.
yeah,
So there are people who are still willing to fork out their money. But again, I feel that people who are buying HDB flats at this kind of price, they will not be getting this money back anymore. And I
yes,
remember one
agree.
particular couple who bought a Clementi flat for $1 million, retired
Mm.
couple, and the rationale is very simple. They sold their landed house in West Coast, and they decided to buy a flat. They say because for all these years they have never been near a mall, they have never been near a station. They always have to drive. So now that they're retired, they just want to be near amenities and have some convenience to their life. So
Mm.
which was why they were willing to pay $1 million for the Clementi flat. And then secondly, they said that they've stayed for landed in so many years, they never get a view from their house because landed, is low rise, right?
Yeah, correct,
So for
correct.
the first time, they're living in the high rise. So they're willing to pay that amount. And anyway, they say they're retired, so they have more than enough money from the sale of their landed house. So, but not everyone is in this kind of position. So,
Yes,
so if you are, still a working professional, you're starting a young family, then I don't think this is something you will want to do right now.
yeah, correct. That's a very good point. Because I think the market for this I'll call them the premium BTOs, the market actually not very big. And
Mm,
probably if they are young working professionals, they are looking at this kind of properties, probably their income is at least 10, 15K lah to afford. Because to be very
mm.
honest, the premium itself is very high. Yeah, and I think like I agree fully with you when they if they do intend to resell it again, unlikely most likely they will be negative
Yeah.
after
So in
deducting
a
all the
case
costs.
like that, Yuan Tai, what you have said, right? This is the opposite of Chong Sua. So people who buy $1 million or very high, to be honest, very expensive HDB flats, you are the one who is going to Chong Sua to pay off the flat, though. It's not the other way around. To be honest, really.
Flip, yeah, it's a flip.
Yeah,
So now
it's
you're
the opposite.
working hard for the
The
money, not
money is not
making
going
your
to Chong
money work
Sua.
hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, not making your money work hard. So how else can we ensure that our home can then be our investment? What are the other points should we take note of?
Mm. I think there are practical reasons why people will choose a certain location. The
Mm,
two that I commonly hear is they need to be near a school, or they need to be near parents so that there's aftercare and so on. But even in cases like that, I feel that we should not compromise on the location and, for example, of just considering whether is this place sellable in future. So
Yep.
these are always things that I highlight many times to my clients. And I say it's not an either or. It doesn't have to be a compromise. Means that if you are near the school or near parents, then you have to choose something that is really lousy in terms of value. So look out for the 4 points that I mentioned, and because the PSLE, and these are the things that will really stand you in good state when you come to choose a property. And time, I always say, is a multiplier. Because of
Yes.
the number of years that we stay in a place. The only thing is time can either multiply for us or time can multiply against us. Right? So if you have chosen a good property or a right property, I would say, and since you're going to be staying there for the next 8 to 10 years, let time, bring up the value of the property for you. So if you have chosen something good, then by the time if you do need to sell or do need to move, then you realize that, hey, at least over time, this value has accumulated and you can do something with it.
That's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
But that's something that sometimes a lot of us may overlook. I think sometimes we just think of what's immediate and what's in front of us.
Yes, yeah. So in Chinese, in fact, I can't really translate this very well into English though. In Chinese, I have this saying, 价值 and 价格是不一样的东西，价值和价格。So 价值
Yep.
it stands for value.
Value
价格 is
and price. I think it's
Yeah.
value and price.
Yeah, value and price, they are two different things though. Low price doesn't mean high value, and high price doesn't mean low value.
Say again.
No, I'm saying that low price doesn't mean high value, and high price doesn't mean low value. Because the
Yeah,
one
same.
mistake that buyers make sometimes is that, hey, this property is so cheap, compared to other places, or compared to the same district, this is very low price, and then people buy it, and then after that realize that, oh no, actually this is something that I can't sell in future.
Okay, Yong Ming got a question. Thoughts on the rental market in Singapore? Thanks, Yong Ming,
The
for the
rental,
question.
yeah, rental market in Singapore, even during this COVID period, I do at least about 50 to 60 rentals a year. Right, so our market is a very strong one, and the reason is because Singapore predominantly is an international hub. So we have a lot of expats, we have a lot of foreign professionals looking to move to Singapore, and they are the ones who rent. Right, so just that as of now, because of the situation that we are in, we do know that there are quite a number of people who have lost their jobs, and I think MOM has highlighted many times a lot of the EP holders are already gone from Singapore. So these are the tenants, right? So the market for now definitely will be affected, and it does depend on the kind of property that you are looking to get or you may be holding now. For example, I still get inbound tenants coming in, and a lot of them are still looking for 2 or 3 bedders. 2 or 3 bedders. Interestingly, not so many people looking for 1 bedder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
another
So
very interesting thing.
it's interesting, right? So in a time like that, you would think that, oh, everyone's tightening their belts. So the tenants or the foreign expats probably want to get something that's cheaper, more affordable. But no, they are still getting the 2 and 3 bedders. And bearing in mind, I've come across quite a number of tenants who are staying alone, and they're still getting a 2 or 3 bedder. So they're not getting the 1 bedder. So so they still can afford the rent. And so if you're looking to get a property, this is something that you need to look at, because in different areas, different sizes will attract different crowds. So it doesn't mean 1 bedder all the time is the best. It really depends on the area that you are going for.
Okay, just another side note on the rental, right? What is the rental outlook for the core central region and the outside non-core?
Okay, in a time like that, in fact, that's a very good question, Yuntai. I use this analogy again, right? It's like a cake, right? When the cake is big enough, everyone gets a slice.
Yes.
Right? But now the cake has shrunk. So it means there is not enough to go around. So usually those who are in the outside, what we call OCR, outside core region, the suburban condos, in fact, they will feel the impact first. They will feel the impact first, because to start with, a lot of the expats prefer to rent in the more central area. That has always been the case. So unless
Yes.
they happen to be working at, for example, Changi Business Park, right? Then they will want to rent in the east that's near to their office. But if not, most of the tenants that I come across, they like East Coast, they like Orchard, they like Marina Bay. So when there are lesser tenants now, then a lot of the tenants, in fact, start to move closer to town because first of all, they can get value for their money.
Yes.
Last time,
Yes.
maybe a two-bedder in town will cost 6,000, but because of the
Mm.
situation we are in now, maybe they can get it for 5,000, 4,005. So for them, hey,
Mm.
this is my opportunity to actually try out something in town, but paying the same rent that I will pay in the suburbs. So they will
Yes.
move from the suburbs to a more central place, but still paying at the same rent. But guess what happens? Then the suburb condo goes vacant.
Yes.
So yeah, so your question is actually very pertinent. I see that right now. So a lot of the suburban condos are the ones being affected more because they find that a lot of the tenants now are leaving, maybe leaving Singapore or leaving to move closer to town. If not, then
Mm.
they will ask the landlord to bring the rent further down. Whereas the
Mm.
central condos, I find that they are still in fact holding up quite well.
Mm. Okay. That's a very interesting phenomena.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Let's thank you for a question, Yong Ming, as well. So if you are just joined us, you have any questions for Clarence, just feel free to ask, or if you have any experiences to share with regards to your own property investment journey, feel free to share as well. So we'll go on to the final subtopic of the day, which is about the top three boo-boos of SG property buyers. So what are the three common mistakes that buyers often make?
Okay. Well, I hope no one's going to throw eggs at me. Okay, but this is online,
No,
so you
I'll
can't
show
throw.
you.
Okay, this I say this with quite a heavy heart, to be honest. I don't like to see anyone making mistakes, but I do see them often. And like one of them I mentioned, low price doesn't mean high value.
Yes.
So I've seen buyers who, including a few colleagues of mine, ex-colleagues of mine, who bought a one-bedder condo. I still remember it was for about 500 plus thousand, which was really a good price, thinking that, hey, I can buy a condo for that. But yet it was in a location that was really not strong in rental, neither strong in sales. So
Mm.
after holding it for a few years now, she's thinking to sell, but in fact, she has to sell it at below cost.
Mm.
She has to sell it below cost, and even then, there are very, very few takers. So the first mistake is don't use price as a judgment. Definitely, there's no need to pay for a sky high price. That doesn't mean that it's the best. But
Yeah.
I find that generally Singaporeans are misled when the price is low, thinking that if it's low price, it must be good.
Yeah.
Usually, that's not the case. And then the second thing is to actually kind of like, this is what I call the herd mentality, to
Yes.
follow friends or family, in as much as they are well-meaning, but to basically follow people who don't have very real experience themselves. Yeah.
Mm.
So, and because of that, you're buying something that is of a significant value, investment value,
Yep.
six figures or sometimes seven figures. It's
Yep.
always good to approach a professional, someone who knows what's happening, rather
Yes.
than to rely on hearsay. And
Yes.
I always say that this is not buying something on Lazada or Shopee. If you make a mistake, you can return or you can just forget it. $30. But when you're doing an investment like that, it's always good to really walk the ground yourself. You can listen to feedback and tips from friends, but at the end
Mm.
of the day, you should really seek professional help. I think that's
Yeah,
very
fully
crucial.
agree.
Yeah, the
Fully
market is very
agree.
transparent. In Singapore, we don't lack data, we don't lack info. But I think what we are seeing now is that we have too much data and too much info. Then it
Yes.
doesn't make sense. People are confused. So it's a matter of trying to understand what the data means. So that's the second important thing. And the third one is also to understand where the overall development of Singapore is going.
Yes.
We have a very good URA, and we
Mm.
have something called master plan, which is the city planning for the next 5 to 10 years. So
Yep.
and Singapore government is one that if it's in the plan, they will do it.
Yes.
That's very certain, unlike in some other countries where once a change of government, everything goes. So the master plan is crucial. I use it a lot as well. The master plan doesn't
Yep.
tell you exactly what will be coming up, but it gives you a
That's
general
secret.
direction. Yes, nobody knows, right? But at least they
Yeah.
give you a very clear direction of what's going to happen in this area, what are going to
Yes.
be coming, and that is already enough. Again, because based on this info, I'm able to make my own judgments and
Yeah.
recommendations to my client. So this
Yeah.
is crucial. Why do I say that? Despite this info being very public, I find that there are still buyers totally ignoring facts like that. And I've come across so many people who told me, no, Clarence, I think this place sure unblocked, or this and that.
There's no such thing as
you know,
sure and on lah.
yes, and it's contrary to the master plan. And they say like, already the master plan has maybe zoned a certain place for residential or commercial. They said, no, no,
Yep.
no, it won't be another condo. It's going to be something else. And I just find that unfortunate because the information is very clear. Or one of the common things I hear from buyers is that no, the plot ratio, which is the height of the building, can be changed. You just need to write in, a few of us come together, we write into URA and we ask URA, hey, I don't think 10 floors is enough. Why don't you all increase it to 18 floors? Things like that cannot be changed. It's all already
Yeah.
fixed and is decided by them. So don't go against what is publicly known facts and policies. So, but yet I say that's a boo-boo because I see buyers who do that or buyers who tell me, hey, Clarence, I think ABSD sure come down. Just for your info, ever since this whole term came out into our vernacular, over the last 8 years, ABSD has only gone up. It has not come down even
Yeah.
one
Yes.
time.
I don't
It's
think it
not.
will go down also. I
Yeah.
was been touched by that.
So why are people still betting on it to come down? It's like trying to go against something that won't change. So and there are people who buy properties because of their own beliefs, and they go right against policy. That will not be a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, you can go against policy lah. I just know you have to know that you're just landing upstream lah.
Yes, you're pedaling upstream very hard, and it's a boo boo lah. So at the end, buyers are the ones who make the mistake and then realize that, oh, actually they are not going to change the policy for me. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so we are almost at the end of our show. So, just one final thing is that I agree with you, Clarence, that a lot of these kind of things, and especially something that we haven't really covered, is really your individual plans for your property. Yeah, so that is also very
True.
important because different people have very different priorities, and to put all these together, I think you really need to consult the experts. Yeah, like Clarence and like many of his peers as well. So a lot of people overestimate, right? A lot of Singaporeans, myself included, sometimes we overestimate what we know, and that's very
Yeah.
dangerous.
I think it's good to be well versed. I always encourage my clients. I say you all should find out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Read up, and the information is there. So I encourage them because sometimes they ask me, hey, why not you tell me everything? I say I will give you my point of view. I will definitely share my professional advice. But I say it's good that you are also well informed. And there's no lack of information, and they like that approach because I find that usually once they have read, they will usually come back to me with questions that are a lot clearer. That means
Yes.
they will not ask very generic questions. In fact, a lot of my clients will then ask me exactly like what you have asked Yuan Tai. They will ask me, hey, I read about this. What is my view on it? And then when I tell them, okay, I think this location, this will not happen, but the other location, this will happen. Then it's a lot easier for them to understand which choice to make. So so be well read, and but at the end of the day, not everything is on Google. That
Yes.
no,
Yes. Not everything
it's
is on
true.
Google.
Yeah, it's not everything because we deal with people every day. For example, like a lot of my clients who are buying for investment, they will ask me, how do you know what tenants want? How come you seem to know so much about tenants? I say it's very simple because I see them every week. Yeah, when I do 60 rentals a year, I definitely need to know a bit of what they are looking for and what they don't
Yeah.
like. So,
Yes.
but because I have the opportunity to interact with them, then I can tell my clients who are buying for investment that you must have all these things because these are what tenants want.
Correct.
Don't get the things that they don't want because
Yeah.
if you do that, they are not going to rent from you.
Yeah.
These are things
Correct.
that you will not find in any forum or on Google.
All right, okay, Clarence. Thanks for your time. I'll definitely be inviting you back again because there's just so much inside you. Wow, okay, and
I
I
hope it
myself have
doesn't
learned a lot.
blow everyone
Yeah.
on a Saturday afternoon.
Okay, so once again, right, if you want to connect with Clarence, he's on Facebook and his handle is Ceming Ceming. Yeah, so going down on the ticker below. If you want to connect, I highly encourage you to connect with Clarence because he's an awesome guy and he really knows his stuff in terms of property. Yep, so feel free to connect with him. And I just want to thank all of you for joining us on a Saturday afternoon. I hope that you have learned something from these 45 minutes. If you have learned something, feel free to drop a comment below, or you have further questions, feel free to drop it below as well. Correct. So this is the Happy Coach and Clarence. We are signing out and wish you a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye
Thank you,
bye.
guys. Bye.